Let's see.
It's going. I started it, Mike.
Okay, great. And I will turn it over to Stephen.
All right, thanks, Mike and Toya. So welcome, everyone. I'm Stephen Miller. I'm a co-PI for the National Cybersecurity Training and Education Center. I'm also an elder member of the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. And today we have a great presentation by Stacy Thacker, who is the engagement officer for AISES. And she's going to talk about a little bit about the history of AISES and what services and initiatives, and also about the conference that's coming up in October. So Stacy, welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. So I'm Stacy Thacker. I am part of the Navajo tribe. I'm from New Mexico. I'm the engagement officer for AISES. I've been there for about a year now. I'm excited to be speaking with you all. So we can go ahead and go to my first slide. I am with the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. You might hear it just referred to as AISES. We're moving a lot of stuff to just AISES. So you might start hearing that more. So we have our mission and our vision here. We're going to start with our mission. So we are a national nonprofit, and our main goal and our main mission is we're focusing on a lot of indigenous students. So we're focusing on indigenous peoples of North America and Pacific Islands. Our programs go from the United States all the way up into Canada. So you'll see on our website, you know, a lot of our verbiage will be changing to include everybody. So we want to focus on STEM related career paths, educational paths, and hopefully build that indigenous community within those spaces. And then we'll look at our vision here. So our vision is for the next 7 generations of Native people to be successful, respected, influential, and contributing members of our vast and ever-changing global community. And we'll get into a little bit more about why that's important, but obviously, you know, we want to see our youth, our younger indigenous students going into these STEM fields when they become professionals. And we are the only organization right now that specifically supports indigenous students and professionals in STEM fields. There's a lot of really great diversity programs out there in STEM, but specifically AISES focuses on indigenous students. So here's kind of a breakdown of AISES by the numbers. We were founded in 1977. Our individual membership is over 6,400. It's growing every day, especially with our national conference coming up. The numbers are always going up, which is great. We have 17 professional chapters right now. We have over 200 chartered college and university chapters. We have 3 tribal chapters, and we have 240 PK12 affiliated schools. And then I'll just kind of go through these chapters right here on this slide. You can go back to the previous one. So I'm the engagement officer, and I work specifically with chapters. And so our 17 professional chapters are really important to the organization because they help our students with resumes. You know, they can do interviews, like mock interviews. They're also really good resources for scholarships, whether it's academic or travel. They're also just a really good resource for students to have mentorship there. We have a lot of our professional chapters that will do little things like pizza parties for the different chapters in their region. Our college and university chapters are also very important to our structure because that's who we like to target. These students are creating communities on their campus that might not exist for them. And so it's really important for them to find advisors and faculty on their campus that help support them. And then they're able to welcome students in from all backgrounds, all, you know, different majors. So our college chapters are really open to everybody. Membership for students is free. That was a big thing with us, and I think our students really appreciate that. Professional membership is $65 annually. And then we have 3 tribal chapters, and our tribal chapters are more like community chapters. So it can be a mix of professionals, it can be a mix of students, and it's open to anybody who identifies as that tribe that sets it up. And so we're really trying to grow our tribal chapters. We have a few kind of in the mix right now, and it's a really great way for professionals and students to meet. They do a lot of community events, a lot of cultural events. And then our PK12 affiliated schools, those numbers are also going up, every week we have a new school signing up, which is really cool, just about every week. And for our PK12 affiliated schools, we'll get into it later, but we have a lot of great programming for them. And it's also a way to get students at, the younger level interested in STEM, interested in that engineering, the science, and then watching them grow that interest. And then when they get to college, hopefully, they're joining their AISES college chapter. We can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So here we have our different AISES regions. We have 7 different regions. You can see where some of them, 1, 5, and 6 are regions that go from the US up into Canada. Breaking it up into 7 regions is really helpful. It helps our students, find an area. It's not like they have to be in one part of the state. They can be anywhere they're at, and they can still find that community. It's also really helpful with our sponsors who might have different offices across the country. And so they can look at their region and say, okay, we want to recruit, college students from these chapters in this region. So that's our regional breakdown. And then you can see here all the different states that we cover, and then all the different parts of Canada that we cover as well. And this is all on our website. So if you want to look more closely at the regions, you're welcome to go to aises.org to find that. So we want to focus on why STEM matters in Indian country. We're looking at how, these professions might be impacting indigenous people, whether, projects are happening on tribal land or near tribal land. We want it to focus on how it's impacting that community. And so having representation of natives in predominantly non-native spaces is really important, because those indigenous students can bring in different perspectives that maybe aren't there. They have different input. Maybe they're able to connect with communities on a different level. So when we're talking about why STEM matters in Indian country, we're looking at a whole variety of different issues, different topics, different solutions. And so at AISES, we see our students and our professionals as breaking through that barrier and creating spaces for everyone. At the very bottom, you can see that it's about tribal sovereignty and self-determination. And so we're also teaching these students about the cultural parts that fit in with STEM as well. So who do we support? We support our PK12 students, and then we'll go through some programs here in a little bit. We also support college students. We have college programs, and we also support professionals. And so for professionals, we have sponsors that have different programs specifically for indigenous professionals. So they might have their own groups, kind of like the way the college students might have their own chapters. The professionals we see are kind of starting their own groups within their bigger companies. And so that's really important. So the way we support professionals in that area is that we give them a space to, create their professional networks. They can invite them into the professional chapters, and then we can continue that down to the college students and to the PK12 students. Next slide, please. So we have a number of PK12 affiliate programs. They're not offered in every state. There are going to be some programs that are state specific, but there are a lot of programs offered for everyone. And so for our PK12 affiliates, this is really cool. So we have, we call it our National American Indian Science and Engineering Fair, which is actually going to be combined with our Energy Challenge. And so the NASEF, the science fair, is open to 5th to 12th grade students, and then the Energy Challenge is 6th to 12th grade. But basically, the Energy Challenge is focusing on building real world solutions to real world problems. And so it's really cool to see these students thinking about what's happening now, and then what are some ways we can change that or help that. The science fair, we have different award categories for junior and senior divisions. And then we also pay for their travel and their sponsors to go to like the international science fair when we have our division winners. So that's a really good program. A lot of schools get excited for that. It's also hybrid, so it's not just in person, it's in person and virtual, which allows more schools and more students to participate, especially with the pandemic. We also have our next generation of Native American coders. This program, we actually partner with Intel for this program. And so this program is to really bring that computer science component to different schools. And so this one is where we're more state specific. So we're working with schools in Arizona, California, and Oregon. And these are schools that are specifically serving Native American students. And so we have different kind of programming for these schools. We have our AISES program officers that will go out to these schools and offer, the different curriculum and training for students. So that's a really good program. Our Native Financial Sense is a financial literacy program, and we partner with Wells Fargo for this one. And we're able to, create a curriculum that the students, can recognize, can understand. So it's cultural based. And so it gives teachers a curriculum, and it's just, to help students start planning their financial lives. Sparking Interest is one of my favorite ones. It's really cool. We have these really cute Spiro bots. You can see one of the students playing with them in my PowerPoint. So they get an iPad and they're able to program that little Spiro bot to go wherever they want it to go. They can do different patterns. They can make that Spiro bot run on a line, so it kind of follows a picture if they want to create a picture. And a lot of our college chapters like this too, because they get to learn how to use it, and then they get to train the high school students how to use it. So this past year at the Region 2 conference in Cal Poly Pomona, that was one of the college chapters sessions, was teaching the PK12 affiliates at their STEM day how to use the Spiro bots. We also have our first robotics curriculum, which allows students to build their own robots. They can enter them into competitions. Our AISES Learning Center is still in the process of being built, but we hope for it to be a huge resource hub for traditional knowledge, cultural knowledge, STEM, and how all that relates. We also offer teacher professional development. So it's kind of like a train the trainer situation. And then our seeding innovations, we're always expanding our programs, our Native coders. We're doing specific coding for Native girls and Native women. So our programs department is really great, and they're always expanding. I recommend checking our website just to stay up to date with, the different programs that they're coming out with. We can move to the next slide, please. So here are our college programs. We have a lot of different scholarships. I think our scholarships might change every year. We always have a lot. The scholarships are open January 31st and they close May 31st. So if you have students who are interested, please make sure that January 31st, they're checking our website. We offer, let's see, there's travel scholarships and academic scholarships. So travel scholarships are scholarships to, like, say, the National Conference for AISES, or maybe it's a leadership summit. And then the academic scholarships, those ones vary as far as eligibility goes. So make sure that your students are checking on that. The deadlines might also vary, even though our scholarships are open from January 31st to May 31st. Some might close in between then. So just make sure students are keeping an eye out for that. We also have a really cool internship program, and it depends on what sponsors are participating. But we do a 10-week summer program for students, and they get their travel paid for. They get weekly stipends. They get stipends for local travel. So, if they're having to catch like a metro or a bus or something, we help pay for that. And then we also help pay for their dormitory costs too. So I know when I was doing summer internships, finding the housing was always the hardest part. So we do try to help them with that. The deadlines for those also vary, and so does the eligibility. So if your students are interested in internships with us, please keep an eye on our website. And then more information will be on our website too of who to contact. Some of our other college programs are lighting the pathway. And this is really for people who are looking for a career in academics. And so it's a mentorship program. There's different areas where they're going to look at not just the mentorship, but they're going to also be eligible for like fellowships or internships. They get support from professionals who are already in the field. So Lighting the Pathway is a pretty popular program we have. It also helps pay for travel to different AISES events again. So National Conference, Leadership Summit. We also have our Full Circle membership. And so Full Circle membership is really cool. It's where like an AISES student will get partnered with an AISES professional. And so they have that one-on-one mentorship. They can check in weekly. It depends on how their schedule is set up. And so that's just a really cool way for professionals to give back to students. College chapters, I talked a little bit about that. If you have students or school who's interested or might be interested in starting a college chapter, we require 3 to 4 students. We have our whole application online, and it's just a really great way for chapters to build community on their campus. We do have a lot of students who have a hard time finding that. They might be at a school where the indigenous student population isn't large, and so they might have a hard time building that community. And so that's why our college chapters are open to anybody. So some of our chapters have art majors, and a lot of our chapters have non-indigenous members, but as long as they're supporting that AISES mission, then we support them coming in because everybody needs a community, right? Our regional conferences, those will start getting determined during our national conference. So at our national conference, we'll have regional student caucuses, and students from all 7 regions will have separate rooms for them. They'll all meet in there. They'll get to introduce what chapter they're from. They'll do regional news, whatever's going on in their region. And then we'll start voting on who wants to host a regional conference. Where do they want to host it? What are the dates going to be? What do they kind of want to do there? If somebody hosted it last year, that's an opportunity for them to say, hey, this is what we did. This is how much work it took. Our regional conference are all student-led. So the student chapters plan it. They get the guest speakers. They can come to us at national headquarters to help maybe create their website, to help take in registration if they're going to charge. We can help them build their flyers for the event. We can offer suggestions on sessions, but really regional conferences are led by the students. So they're all different. They're all really fun. The sponsors, who do sponsor some regional conferences that get to go, it's really exciting for the students to get that one-on-one time with them because they can't do it at national conference. It's really big. So regional conference is really their time to kind of have that one-on-one. We also have different opportunities too for students in leadership. So maybe they can't start a chapter at their school, so they're not able to be a president or a vice president, but they can always sign up to be a student representative, a national student representative, or a Canadian student representative. So all 7 regions have a student representative, and they're kind of the go-to for sending information out. So I'll send information out to all my chapters. But if, student representatives say, hey, we have this internship opportunity specifically for Region 1, they can send that out to all the students on their list too. Same with national student rep and our Canadian student rep. That's who the student representatives can go to and say, hey, we might be having this issue, or we want to celebrate this story. And so that's really student-led too. And that's a really great program. We can go to the next one. Okay. So now we have our national conference coming up in about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit less than that. This year it's going to be in Palm Springs, California, October 6th through the 8th. And so if you go to our website, we have our whole agenda on there. We have all kinds of events going on. Really, if you're a PK12 affiliate, I believe it might start October 5th because we have a really great STEM day. Boeing is sponsoring that this year. And so our STEM days are open to local PK12 affiliates. Our PK12 affiliates from across the country come as well. It's always a really great turnout. And I'm sure Nate can share more with you. But it's cool. The students are doing a bunch of different activities. They're also getting a bunch of really cool swag from different companies. They're getting to meet people and maybe create mentorships, or they're getting to explore different career areas that they could have. You know, they're building that interest from STEM Day. Our national conference is pretty unique. We do have, and we'll get into it, but we do have one of the largest college and career fairs in Indian country. So we have all kinds of sponsors come out. We have all kinds of colleges coming out for that. And really everybody attends. We have our PK12 affiliates, which could be middle school, high school attending. We have college students and educators and professionals. And we try to have sessions for everybody. So, you know, our sponsors will have sessions, our AISES staff members will have sessions, we'll have our AISES members signing up for sessions. And so we really try to offer something for everybody. We also have our local tribal nations that come. So Palm Springs, we're gonna have a lot of tribal representation there, you know, but sometimes it's not just tribes in the state, we have tribes from all over coming out too, which is really cool. And then we do have a lot of sponsors, our tribal indigenous owned businesses that are coming out too. So it's really cool to see that support. So when you come to a national conference for AISES, you can really see all the different aspects of indigenous life and cultures coming together for this really, you know, people think like STEM, but it's bigger than that. So that's really cool. And then here are some highlights from our national conference. I mentioned the career fair. So we have, I believe Apple is going to have a big booth this year. But we also have, you know, different colleges coming out. I believe New Mexico Tech's going to be there. We have ASU, you know, we have everybody coming out to talk to students. We recommend that students print off resumes. So if you have students who are coming, who might be in high school, or maybe they're graduating college, we recommend them print out 50 resumes, you know, just bring them in, talk to different people. We do have a little game that we play with the students where they collect tickets for every booth they go to. And that's just kind of a way for our students to get out there, to explore all the different career options, to look at all the different colleges, because you never know which one's going to be a great fit for you. We have research competitions. So a lot of our college students will do like their research posters there. They get to present. We have different judges for that. And then we have different sessions and tracks that are related to STEM, but we also offer, you know, tracks for business, for research. We have just educator topics. So, you know, it might be like a train the trainer kind of situation, depending on what you're interested in. We do have industry partner and university tours. So this year we're going to be touring the California Indian Nations College. We're also going to be touring the Palm Springs Windmill, which I think is really cool. And then the University of Redland. So we have a lot of different tours coming up. Our opening and closing ceremonies are going to be really fun. We always have different local indigenous bands coming in, or they might be singers, they might be powwow performers, they might be dancers. So we always have different kind of entertainment coming in. We have a student awards ceremony, which is going to be really nice. We're going to be giving out awards to our college chapter of the year. We have awards for, you know, the college chapters that do community service. You know, we have college chapters for awards for marketing and fundraising, and then awards for, you know, maybe their membership grew that year. We're also going to have different traditional talking circles. So sometimes we have separate ones for men and women, so you can feel comfortable talking about whatever you want in there. And then we have our powwow, which is going to be Saturday night. That was going to be outside, but it's going to be inside now. But we have a lot of great singers and dancers coming in for that. And then we talked about STEM Day, but part of STEM Day too. So during STEM Day, there's 3 different activities. We have the actual STEM Day. We have our Hack AISES, And then we also have another kind of coding thing with a company called Meta. And so we have 3 different things going on for students. You can go to the next slide. So here's just some upcoming AISES events. Our national conference. And then we have our leadership summit. We haven't determined the dates and the location yet for that. But when we do, we'll start sharing that out. Our AISES in Canada National Gathering was canceled last year due to the pandemic. So we're really excited to have it going this year. Registration is open for that. If you have any interest in attending that or know anybody in Canada that might want to go, registration is open, and we're also doing a call for sessions for that as well. We went over the 7 regional conferences, so hopefully those will be coming out soon. And then we have our NASA for Science Fair. That's going to be, if you're doing it in person, it'll be held at Oklahoma State. And then our Native Links Golf Tournament, that one happens right after the national conference. So our development team is always super busy. As soon as they get to a national conference, they're flying to Las Vegas for the Native Links Golf Tournament. And I know they work really hard on that every year. So those are some of upcoming events. If you're interested in those or you have any questions, our website has more information on all those events. And some of our membership benefits. So when you become an AISES member, you get access to our network, which is really cool. So you get access to all the different AISES professional members that are in the area, which is really beneficial for our students. We are very student focused. And so they get to network with different professionals who work at different, they might be local engineering companies, they might be, our bigger companies. And so they're also able to network with each other too. So we see a lot of students that are uplifting each other, helping them, maybe they're at a different chapter and their chapter is not doing so great. So they're connecting to figure out, how do we rebuild that? We also have plenty of different resources. We went over like scholarships and internships, but we also have like our job board where students can upload, or professionals even can upload their resumes. And we always direct companies to go over there to look at their different resumes if they have job openings. We do have discounts on events. So, national conference can get spendy. But if you're a member, we do offer like a discount code early on. We do have our early bird membership. And then our Winds of Change magazine. This one comes out at least 5 times a year. And it really focuses on our professionals and our students and their career and academic lives, and kind of what, if they're doing something great that's kind of moving things forward or creating big change. This is the place where we publish a lot of those stories, which I think is great. Stories like earlier, Nate was talking about his program with the Apache language. We like to focus on those things. We like to bring those things to light. So Winds of Change is really a great place for students and professionals to kind of read about what others are doing within AISES. So at AISES, we have 4 strategies for building that indigenous presence in the workforce. So 1, we want to build awareness and increase that retention in our K through 12 STEM. So we want to start the pathway. We want to get those students interested. We want to see where they can go from there. We want to get the schools interested, their educators interested, and hopefully keep growing, having that environment for students to keep exploring their STEM education. And then number 2, we want to increase access and success in STEM higher education. So that's really continuing that pathway. That's getting those STEM students to follow their goals into college, maybe joining those college chapters, and then keeping in mind what their goal is after college. So really keeping that thrive for STEM through their PK12 into their college years. And then number 3, we're providing leadership and promote change to improve professional opportunities in STEM. So that's really supporting the pathway. That's where our professional chapters come in. That's where our professional networks come in, where they're creating those indigenous groups within their own companies. And so that's really helping college students see themselves in a career, in a professional career. And then number 4, identify and leverage strategic partnerships and conduct research in STEM issues specific to Native Americans. So illuminating that pathway, showing them that there are issues that are impacting Indian country and that they can have the solutions to help fix those problems. You know, they can have a voice in that area. But also working with like data collection from different companies. And so that is a really good way that we also connect to, is we're always looking for research, we're always collecting data, and then we're using that to kind of back up, you know, what we're saying when we say that we need more Indigenous people in STEM. We also have a lot of sponsors. So on the other side, how we help these organizations, we have different advisory councils. You can see them all listed here. I think right now, Kayak, which is our Canadian Indigenous Advisory Council, is one that we've been really working with lately because we're really trying to expand AISES in Canada. Right now, we have about 11 Canadian chapters. This past week, we just had another professional chapter submit their paperwork. So we're hoping to have 2 professional chapters in Canada by the national conference. And so building that relationship, I believe Microsoft, which is one of our recent sponsors for Canada, had a virtual webinar with students last week. And so we're really trying to build that relationship. So right now, the Canadian Indigenous Advisory Council is really important for us. Our Council of Elders, you know, we need them, especially during conference time. That's where students are able to connect with them. During the national conference, we do have an elders room where students can sit down with elders and they can talk to them and get advice. So, you know, our corporate advisory council, that's where our sponsors are talking to our development team, and they're also building that relationship in that community. And then we have partner opportunities. So me working with college chapters, I'm able to connect those college students with some of our bigger sponsors. And so we might have sponsors that want to host a virtual webinar. They might want to host an internship webinar. They might want to just meet students and, you know, say, hey, maybe I'll be at your regional conference. So this is a really good opportunity for partners to get connected with students, to get connected with professional members that might be working for them. And then, you know, for our organizations, they get to do a lot of recruitment. So if you go to our website for our college and career fair, we have a whole list of the different sponsors that are going to be there. And then they also host networking events at the national conference. So they'll have little rooms that they'll set up in, it'll be catered, and then it's just an opportunity for them to meet students. At our Region 3 conference, I believe we had Sandia National Labs hosted a whole night where they played bingo, they gave out gift cards, they talked about internship opportunities. They had a whole line of people from, you know, retired to just starting, and it was really cool to see how many people have worked there for how many years. And I think that was really eye-opening for students to see that, oh, I can build my career here. I can stay here for this long, or, you know, if I decide to move on, I still have this community. So I think when students can see what the professionals are doing at their organizations, that's really important. So I believe when organizations decide that they want to sponsor with AISES, they get more than just a logo on our website. You know, they get access to these real stories happening in real time with our students and our professionals. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know I went over a lot. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can also email me too at any time.
Yeah, Stacy, this is Mark Wright. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest with St. Martin's University. And we have a program that we do for veterans, actually, coming out of the military. We put them in a semester of high-tech training, and they get them jobs with companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, and so forth. But the interest, there's a lot of American Indian tribes or Native American tribes up in Pacific Northwest here. And they want to partner with St. Martin's to also provide training
Oh,
to
wow.
Americans. And there's people that want to hire them for high-tech jobs, like Providence has thousands of jobs. Providence Healthcare wants to hire them and train them. So how could we maybe is there a way to network or have a way to talk with like you say, elders or other tribes or other as we expand this program, things like that? Would you be a contact there or someone else? Or
You could look for our development team. So Kelly is kind of our main contact for our development team. And so she would be able to get you in contact with the right organizations. But you could also contact Lisa Paz, who is my supervisor. She's the she's the Senior Director of Engagement and Advocacy. And so Lisa really has all the contacts to the different groups that we have. So hers would just be lpaz@aises.org. And I believe Lisa would be able to help you make those connections. I think it's a really great program.
Mark,
Okay.
I would point out, if you attend the AISES conference, they actually have special session just for veterans. So if some of your veterans that are Native Americans that would
Yeah.
like to attend, that was a really impressive session that I had when I went there, and I think there's a lot of networking that you could do with those. It was not just students in there; there was elders as well as other professionals and educators that were all veterans.
oh, great, that's good to know. Okay.
And I would also keep an eye on our website too. It might have closed. I'm not positive, but I know USAA was doing a scholarship specifically for undergraduate veterans this year too. And so sometimes those opportunities come up.
Okay.
Stacy, when you mentioned the 17 professional chapters, does that include that academic chapter, or is that more for students, or is that professionals as well as students? And
So our chapters and our advisory councils are separate. So the 17 professional chapters, they're made up of professionals in different states. So I believe like in Washington, we might have at least 3 different professional chapters. And really the professionals are there they might work for different companies and they're just coming together to create their own community. And so like our Portland chapter, they raise money to do scholarships for students. They're also at different powwows where they might set up tables. A lot of our professional chapters do a lot of community work. So our Lake Erie chapter went out this year and delivered Thanksgiving meals to families in need. They also did the same with blankets around, Christmas time. And I believe one of our chapters in Washington during the pandemic, they went out to the Navajo Nation and dropped off, PPE, hand sanitizer, that kind of thing. So our professional chapters, depending on where they're at, will focus more on, professional development, where they're getting their members training, professional training. Maybe they're getting certificates. Some focus more on cultural and community work, and then some focus specifically on student work. So, their focus is making sure their college chapters are strong, that the students are getting, their resumes looked over, getting that interview experience kind of type thing. So our professional chapters are really beneficial, but it depends on what areas they want to work on. So they're really good for mentorship, for networking purposes. And then we have our different advisory councils. And those advisory councils, our newest one, I can't remember the acronym for it, but it's our new college advisory council. And so that's an opportunity for AISES partners, for educators. I believe we might have 1 or 2 students on it to come together to tell us what they need and how AISES can help them and how we can provide the different opportunities for them. We might be focusing on one area more than another. So it's a really good opportunity for students to kind of tell us what they need. And then our tribal chapters are more like the community chapters. That's a chapter where you can have a mix of high school students, community members, and professionals. Our tribal chapters are for the tribes that start them. So as long as you identify as being part of that tribe, you're welcome to join it. We don't require any kind of enrollment proof or anything like that. And that's really an opportunity for the different communities to find a way to work together, for them to share their experiences. We might have elders who want to work closely with high school students, and those tribal chapters are a good opportunity to do that. We do have a student in Phoenix. I believe she's 15, and she wants to start her own tribal chapter because she's having a hard time finding that community at school. But she has a great, Navajo community in her area in Phoenix. And so, she has a lot of people helping her work on that. So those are just kind of different examples of what different kind of communities we have at AISES.
Do you have a list on your website of those tribal chapters, like, by region, like we're region 1?
Yeah, so if you go to our website and under the professionals tab, there'll be a directory, and then you can click on that and it'll have you, you can filter it to different areas that you're looking for. But right now we only have 3 tribal chapters, and so we're really trying to build that. But you can always feel free to reach out to them to see what they're working on.
Stacy, I have a quick question for the high school portion. And I've been part of AISES for years now, but what I like to see is maybe a leadership summit for high school students. I know we've been to the leadership summits, and it's mainly geared toward college students more so than high school. We presented at the leadership summit, and but is there any indication that maybe AISES can do something just strictly for the pre-12 or not pre-K, middle school, high school students, like a summit? Because we lose them. If they don't go to college, we lose them because it's not that many opportunities for our high school kids to go to nationals. I mean, we're fortunate at our schools, we can go, but what about the other schools that really can't make it? Is there anything that we can do as far as maybe creating some type of summit strictly for middle to high school students?
I think that's a great idea. I know right now our programs department is pretty slammed with the different programming. They're flying all over the place every other weekend to provide programming for schools. But I know that there's been talks about having their own awards specifically for the PK12 affiliates. I know, like, I do the college awards, but at the student luncheon, I don't think we necessarily give out PK12 awards. So I think offering more of a PK12 focused summit that goes beyond STEM Day, I think that could be beneficial, and definitely something that we could talk about and discuss and see if that's something that's possible through AISES.
Well, we'll be hosting a STEM conference in March or April of next year. Maybe not March, but April, May. We hosted one years ago, and we had John Harrington as our keynote speaker.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But we didn't get a lot of native schools to attend, and that's pretty sad when we can't do that. So I'm thinking if we can create something for pre-K to 12th graders, it'll work.
Yeah, if you send me an email, and then I can go ahead and put you in touch with the right people for that. But I think that's a great idea. I don't see, I see a lot of benefits for that. And if you also want to send me information, so I know you said you had another one coming up, another event. If you send me that information, I can also email it out to our PK12 schools, letting them know, hey, there's this event coming up. If you're interested, here's the contact person. I can do that too.
Okay. I'll do that.
Yeah. So I guess that's open to anybody. I believe one of the New Mexico schools last year had sent, they were doing like a summer program, and they were looking for students in the New Mexico, I believe it was northern New Mexico area, to come attend their program. And so I was able to send out an email just to those colleges. So if you have students specifically in Region 1 that you're trying to reach, you have an internship opportunity or a scholarship opportunity, you can always send those to me, and then I send those out to our college students.
Yeah, that was a water project, I do remember, because we got an invite.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, any other questions for Stacy?
It looks like Randy has a question.
Stacy, yeah, thank you. I think you just answered my question. You're my contact point. I'm with the University of Tulsa, and I'm basically recruiting students for a PhD program. And we're trying to, one of my goals is to really increase diversity. I mean, most PhDs in cybersecurity kind of look like me, and we want to change that. The HBCUs provide a place for me to go look at Black students and very easily, and I really appreciate that. What I'm finding with the Native population is they're highly distributed. So like I'm working with a Cherokee tribe here because they're, right down the street. I know the people. I'm working with the Choctaws and folks like that, but I need someone like you who can help me reach out into the broader community, because I know that many tribal units are paying for their students to go to school. At the college level, what I'm having a problem with is how do I reach out to those students? So can you help me make that happen?
Yeah, so if you go ahead and send me all the information to the email right there on the screen, then we can talk more about how to get that information out effectively, who we're trying to get it out to. If you're looking at a certain region, if you're kind of looking across the board. And then we also have, if you go onto our website, we also have an opportunities page, which I can send you the link to that in an email, and then you might also be able to post your opportunity there as well.
Well, Stacy, I appreciate that information. I really look forward to working with you on this. I'd love to see more of the students that are already in STEM education, working on their bachelor's degrees. If they want to continue that education, we want to help them with that in the ways that we can. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think the kind of cyber security side of our students are a little quiet, and so it would be nice to kind of get them out there and highlight them.
Yeah, it's fascinating. If you go look at the IPADS data, it's like the only place that's producing students that's a native institution is the Navajo group that's in northern New Mexico. So we to them, and we're looking for more. So thank you for the contact.
Yeah, no
I'll
problem.
be in touch.
Hey, any other questions for Stacy? One thing I would like to, you have any idea how many participants that you have in the exhibit hall? I know there was several. These included universities, community colleges, businesses, the government. I know I was actually invited there by the NSA. They had a big booth at that conference. Several government, FBI, there were several agencies there as well. So, I mean, it's an amazing conference. So I can't say enough about it. It was one of the best conferences I've been to.
Well, I'm trying to look over. We have at least 6 pages of exhibitors on our national conference website right now. I know we sold out pretty quick. I know there was a lot of companies who tried to get spots and couldn't do it because we ran out of floor space. And so we also had a lot of colleges too that we weren't able to give a space to because we just ran out. And so I see 6 pages worth of exhibitors on our AISES website. It's about 35 a page. So you're more than welcome to go to that national conference website. You can see all the different colleges that'll be there, all the different sponsors and organizations. We get some really cool ones. Students really enjoy that. That's one of our biggest days. We do like a ribbon cutting ceremony, and I like to go down there and just walk around, and I see all kinds of colleges that, man, I wish I had that when I was still in school. So it's a really great opportunity for students and professionals too.
Thank you. Well, thank you. This has been very informative, I think, for everyone. And I would encourage you to attend if you can. And so we will see you at the AISES conference, Stacy.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me and I'd be happy to answer them. And thank you for having me today.
Mike, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you again, Stacy. That was very informative. I really appreciate you having you here today. And before I lose everybody, I am going to put in our feedback link, our survey link. So before I get into the next slide, please send us your feedback. We are looking at 2023 and starting to plan for that. So we would like to have, some exciting topics that everybody's interested in, as well as if there's something that you want to present or you think you have a topic that we could highlight here at the monthly member meeting, please let us know about that as well. So with that, our next opportunity coming up here is the CMMC 2.0 workshops on September 27th, and it's a 2-day workshop. For those of you who aren't familiar with the CMMC, it is stands for, let me get to my notes here. I don't have what it stands for, but I think it's for the Certificate of Maturity Model Certificate, Cyber Maturity Model Certificate. That's what it is. And this program maintains the program's original goal of safeguarding safe information while simplifying the CMMC model. So the CMMC is for contractors who are working with the Department of Education, and they have to meet certain certification requirements and compliance. Again, 2-day workshop.
Just to add to that,
Yeah.
this has been a really popular workshop. I believe the September 27th one is full. I'm not sure, but for faculty on the call, the course, we give the course to you. So we have a lot of different colleges that are using this to train students. We also have small businesses and others that attend. I forgot how many business, is it like 30,000 businesses, Stephen, or 300,000? 300,000 businesses are affected by this requirement. And so all of these businesses need help in meeting the CMMC requirements. And basically the business has to show they've reached a certain level of cybersecurity in order to do business with the federal government. So it has some very valuable curriculum that you might want to use.
It's a DoD requirement. If you're going to contract with the DoD, you must have meet the CMMC framework.
And Corinne, did you say you've got curriculum that's available to universities to use?
Yeah, it's a Canvas course. So we make the export available. I know several colleges that are just importing it and using the materials directly.
That's what we did. We just imported it. So it's very popular at our college because we have so many government contractors at White Sands and at Holloman Air Force Base and at Sandia.
All right, and I just wanted to highlight or give you the web page for the AISES conference that we've been talking about. And they have several good presentations. I mean, I just wanted to plug the AISES also has a presentation there, if you're familiar with them, the Women in Cybersecurity, the Cybersecurity Workforce Reimagined. It will be on Saturday, 10/8.
Hey, Mike, Randy Roberts here. One more time on
Sure.
that conference. Do you have planned dates for 2023?
This is, I'm not sure if they have planned dates for 2023 yet or not. Stacy, are you still on the line?
Oh, yes, I am. So next year in 2023, I just had the dates. It's going to be, I believe it's in October again, and it's going to be October 19th to October 23rd, and we'll be in Spokane.
It looks like Angela put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And while I have this opportunity, I want to thank you, Stacy, for coming and doing our member meeting. We really appreciate all the information. It's really helpful.
Oh, thank you. It's always great to be invited to do something like this.
We are looking for subject matter experts. Right now, we need somebody to help us with the health, IT, privacy, and security curriculum. It needs to be updated. It's a few years old. We'd like somebody to come in and be able to map the learning outcomes to Bloom's taxonomy. I won't go into all of that, but we do have a survey if you want to take that on the web, or I'm not a survey, but it's basically if you have interest in doing that. I'm going to send all these links out, by the way, to everybody after the meeting so that you'll have an opportunity to explore all of that. I know we're close to running out of time. Just want to remind everybody that there are free curriculum resources out on NCyTE or out on clark.center. We have a lot of modules out there NCyTE does, as well as other colleges and universities. We have some faculty development academies that are underway for cyber and non-cyber community college faculty. I will send out the link for that if you have an interest in attending one of those. And we are offering free program development workshops for faculty, admins. Again, I'll send out the link if you're interested in attending that. All right, great. And please, check us out on social media. We're often pushing out a lot of the opportunities that I've discussed that we've talked about through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, as well as on our web. And of course, on the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, we have a lot of curriculum or videos out there for anybody to be able to use and download, as well as all of our membership meetings. And again, here's the survey link. Thank you for attending today's meeting. Thank you again, Stacy, for your very informative presentation, and Stephen for hosting, and everyone else for coming out and being part of the meeting. I hope we see you again next month.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.